Okay, well, good afternoon, everyone. It is 4 o'clock Seattle time, and we are starting our session on advanced tools in Collaborate Ultra. And my name is Katrina Stoops. I am your host, your facilitator for this session. And my role at CityU is managing and facilitating faculty program. The last two sessions we did this week focused on the basic tools in Collaborate Ultra. This one will be focusing on the advanced tools. So after you've practiced using your screen share, uploading a file in Collaborate, and using mic and video, so after you practiced those features, so what's next? And today we are going to be talking about, breakout groups and polls. So these two tools will allow you to facilitate more engaging, more interactive activities with your students. So you can follow along by kind of clicking on the same buttons as I will be showing them in my slides and then screen share. And by the way, I forgot to mention that before I start going through the slides, I wanted to talk about the rules of engagement for this session. I always like to do that in the beginning of my classes, of my training, so the rules are clear. Because I will be using screen share, I will not be able to see the chat. It will be hard for me to see what's going on in the chat. That's why we have several moderators with me in this training, and they will be helping you with your chat questions. As I'm progressing through the slides, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat, and our wonderful team, wonderful moderators will help you with your questions. Okay, so advanced tools and Collaborate. So two, really. Polling and breakout groups. So this is the most interactive features in Collaborate. I really like using them a lot in my training and my classes, and really gives that gives you an opportunity to create group work sessions for your students and just engage them. If you are, say, delivering a lecture and you're talking for 5 minutes, you can just do a poll and invite your students for a quick discussion. So that's what we're going to focus on today. So the first one is the poll. So before we get the poll, I just wanted to quickly explain where you can find it. At the bottom of your screen, you should all see the purple icon. And when you click on it, it will expand the panel. You can just do it right now if you want, or you can just follow them, like listen and just look at the slides. It's up to you. But basically, when you expand the control panel and Collaborate, you will see several options. The first one looks like a chat box. And that's where you will click to chat with the class, and that's the tool that you will probably ask your students to use as well. So the second one looks like two people, and that is a very useful one when you need to take attendance. Obviously, when you start teaching your classes, you will need to see how many students are in your virtual class right now, who left, who joined. So when you click on that two people icon at the bottom, you will be able to see who is in the session. And the third one is really what we're going to be focusing on today. It looks like a square with an arrow coming out of it. Very strange looking icon. I can't really figure it out, but it is what it is. So when you click on it, you will see all kinds of options, really. So the primary content options, that is what we talked about in the previous section, training sessions this week, and that they are considered just basic tools in Collaborate, that they will allow you to do basic things. And today we're going to be talking about secondary content tools. So they're under the secondary content, polling and breakout groups. So first, polling, obviously. Sean, if you have a question, can you please type in the chat, and the moderators will respond. So for polling, when you click on the polling, and don't worry, we'll practice. We'll have an opportunity to practice. So when you click on polling, you will have two choices. So the first one is to set up a poll as a multiple choice question. And the second type would be yes or no type question. Okay, so, and here's an example. I just typed something really quickly. Multiple choice. How can you use Collaborate Ultra? Number one, to facilitate a virtual class. Number two, to hold a virtual meeting. So that's just something simple, just a question that came up to my mind. And if I want to add a choice, if I want, for example, number 3 or 4, I can add a choice by clicking on the add choice icon link. And then once I am ready to deploy the poll, I will need to click on start. Okay, so that's just how you would set it up. For the yes or no choice type of poll, it's the same. So you will have this window where you will type your question. Is Collaborate Ultra a web conferencing software? And the answer is yes or no. So it's a yes or no type question. And obviously, so, and that's probably that's what once you type the question, you will be able to deploy the task, the poll, by clicking on the start. Okay, so, and did anyone have a question?
Ekaterina, they're just wondering why they can't view the options, and Carolyn just reminded them because they're participants, not moderators.
Right, so yes, correct. Okay, let's just maybe pause for a second. So in this session, you are joining as participants, right? You're not your students in this session. I'm the facilitator, I'm your teacher. So I have moderator privileges. You have you don't have the moderator privileges, you have participant privileges. As participants, as students, you won't be able to set up a poll. So that's the teacher's role, my role. I will be setting up a poll for you in a minute, and you will practice taking it also in a minute. But as students in the session, as participants, you can set up a poll, and that's what you actually don't want your students to do that. Because once you start facilitating your virtual class, you want your students to focus on the activities that you set up for them. And only you as a moderator in a virtual room will be able to set it up for them. So right now, please just look at my slides, okay? Look at my slides, and I will do a little bit of the screen share later. But just focus on the slides right now. Certain options you just won't be able to see on your panel because you are students in this session. Okay, so now I showed you just very quickly how those settings look like. So I did the screenshots. Now I'm actually going to set up a poll for you, and I'm going to do a screen share. So this way you can see how I'm setting it up. And then you later, once I deploy it, once I click on the start, you will be able to actually click and answer those questions. Okay, so I am, just give me a second. I'm going to share my screen. And you will be able to see how I'm setting it up. Well, the reason why I started with the with the slides is because my internet connection at home is not 100% reliable, unfortunately. So if something happens, at least I have a backup, and I could rely on my screenshots. That's why my recommendation to you, if you plan to rely on your screen share, always have a backup in terms of screenshots. If your connection fails, you can always use your slides, and that's why I'm doing both right now. Okay, I'm actually going to turn off my screen, turn off my camera to save bandwidth. Okay, so now you see my screen, right? So this lovely tunnel effect, that looks kind of scary and a little bit of annoying, but that's all right, because that is actually good, because that is an indicator that you are sharing your screen, right? And right now, I want you to focus on the options under the secondary content right here where my cursor is, right? So that's where I want you to look right now. So as you can see, you have this polling option. So you will click on this option and you will see multiple choice and yes or no choices, just like what I was showing you on my slides. So that was the screenshot that I took. Okay, so multiple choice. Let's just say I want to set up a multiple choice poll, and I click on it and it will give me this window. I will type a question and I will type an answer, and the second answer, if I want to add another one, I will click add choice. I actually don't want to do that because I want to set up a yes or no choice. So I'll click on this option and I will type something simple. I don't know, is Collaborate a web conferencing software? Question mark. So the answer is very, very easy, right? Yes or no. And once I click start, you will be able to see this poll on your screens. Okay, I'm going to hit start. Okay. Okay, here we go. Do you see it on your screens? Go ahead and say yes, no. Really doesn't matter. We're just playing, we're just practicing. Okay, great. Everybody thinks it's a yes. Wonderful. Perfect. Wonderful. Okay, so we're done. So when you take, well, when your students take answer the questions, at some point you kind of want to lock the poll, and you will click on this eye icon to lock it. That means that your students will no longer be able to take the poll, right? And I think I saw a question in the chat. Why are we using this quiz? It's not a quiz. It's called a poll. That's the language that Collaborate Ultra is using. And basically, the way, because it's a very simple tool, the way I would use it is, let's just say you are doing a lecture, so you're talking for 5 minutes. Obviously, in a virtual setting, you don't want to be talking for too long. You kind of want to break your lecture, like, you know, have a little bit of talking for 5 minutes and then do some kind of interactive activity. So you can use a poll to pose a question about something, a concept that you just introduced in the lecture, and just have students have fun with this question, you know, have them answer it, and then you can move on. So that's really just a simple tool to engage your students with something interactive and fun and kind of cool. Okay, so I am right now, I'm going to switch to my PowerPoint, and you will be able to see how that PowerPoint looks like when I am sharing the screen. And I want to show you something that I'm not able to show in the screen share mode because you just won't see it. Okay, so let me find that slide where I was. Basically, two things that I want you to kind of keep in mind when you do the polls, launch the poll. So right here at the bottom, you will see the little icon that will allow you to view the poll if you want to. And then once you're done with the poll, when your students answer the question and you're just done, to stop the poll, you will need to click on this circle with a square inside of that little circle, and you will stop the poll. So let's see if I can actually show you, because it looks like the poll is blocking this option. But hopefully, yes, okay, I can show you it now. So basically right here, there is this circle, right, with the square inside, and that's where you will click on to stop the poll. So you're done with the poll, no more. Click here, and the poll will disappear. Okay, so that is how you set up your poll. But again, I just want to make this distinction very clear that your students, if they are participants in your room, right, like you are right now, then they won't be able to set up their own polls. So only you as a moderator will be able to set up a poll for them. If you want your students to set up a poll, you will need to promote them to a moderator, and but that is really so you need to kind of ask yourself a question: why would you want your student to set up a poll for a class? If it's a part of your activity, maybe you're doing some special activity where students are doing some maybe project and they're leading the project, you can promote them to a moderator and they can set up their own poll. But it is really up to you. You kind of need to decide what is the goal for your activity. So the next feature in Collaborate that we are going to be discussing right now is a breakout. So breakout groups is basically, and I will walk you through the steps in the process, and we will actually practice breakout groups after I show you how I did that. So breakout groups is a really cool tool, and it will allow you to facilitate group work in your virtual class. So right now, I'm going to show you how to set it up, and then I will put you in a group, and you will have an opportunity to have some quick interaction with your group members. But this is how you set it up. Right here, excuse me, there are two options. You can either randomly assign or custom assign. So the difference is, if you choose random, that means that Collaborate will just put people in groups randomly. If you choose custom, obviously, you will need to drag and drop students in group 1 or group 2 or group 3. So depending on how many groups you want to set up. So here's the number of groups you can create, basically a lot. So for the sake of this activity, I will choose 3 because I want 3 groups. That, you know, it gives you the number that it will be approximately 7 people per group, which is fine. I don't really care because we're just practicing. So this tool allow attendees to switch groups. I don't know, it's up to you. I don't want you to switch groups. I want you to stay in a group that I put you in. But again, you can check this box depending on the type of activity you want to facilitate. Shuffle attendees, I don't know, I don't care for this, but you can use this, it's fine. And here is this list of everyone who is in the room right now. So, because I chose randomly assign, Collaborate put people in group number 1, 2, and 3 just randomly, right? If I chose custom assign, that I would actually have to like drag people in group 1 or 2 or 3. I don't want to do that because it takes time. So okay, so see, you are in Brian, Flavia, Christine. So do you see how you are put in group 1, 2, or 3? Jackie, Hannah. So once I click start, you are going to find yourself in a group. So you are no longer in the main room. And let me just go over some rules for groups. So once I click start, you are going to find yourself in a group with other people, and you can turn on your mic and just introduce yourself and just chat with your group members. You will stay in your group for about 5 minutes approximately, and then in 5 minutes, I will time it, and in 5 minutes, I will bring you back to a main room, okay? So this way, you'll have whole 5 minutes to kind of see how it feels to be in a group setting. Okay, and you just, as soon as you're in a group, turn on your mic and start chatting with your group members, and you'll have 5 minutes. Okay, are you ready? Yes? Okay, good. I think everyone is ready. So I'm going to just start. Okay, 5 minutes.
So, Ekaterina, because we're moderators, we're not added to the groups?
You should be. You should be. So you're kind of like left out? Ah, okay, I see.
Yeah,
No, I'm here too. I think we're in like a main room and everyone else is in their own.
Okay, so okay, it looks like, okay, that's a good point. I usually am the only moderator in a room when I do groups. Yes, so I guess we're not a part of a group. So let's just jump into each group and check on how people are doing. And
Yeah, so participants, you can look through the groups and add yourself to a group and see.
yeah. But it's kind of funny that actually they don't put you in a group automatically, which kind of makes sense because as a moderator, you probably want to have a full control of what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, so go ahead and jump into each room. Just make sure that everyone is doing fine. I'll do the same. And in about 5 minutes, like 4:30, I will bring everyone back. Excuse me.
Last night, but we certainly made up for it. How about in Alberta? Or I should
I
say,
apologize to Ekaterina and everyone because this is Mary. I just jumped into a group, was trying to jump out, and accidentally ended all of the groups instead. I apologize.
nice.
Well done. The challenge of having multiple moderators.
Quick 5 minutes.
We were just warming up.
I know, I'm so sorry. And it looks like the moment, like Katrina is off. Carolyn, or let's see. I'm trying to remember.
I'm
Okay.
back. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Katrina, I'm sorry. This is Mary. I accidentally ended the group session instead of just jumping out of the group.
That is totally okay. You know, let's do it again. Was it fun? Was it fun? Yes? Yes? Everyone fun?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so much fun that we're going to do it again. Because I'm going to choose a random thing, so we will again end up in different groups. At least Collaborate will randomly. Yes, Ron, yes, as a moderator, you do wonder, and I'll show you how to do it. So I'm going to set it up again. And okay, I'm going to go on the start. And you will jump into a group.
To select.
Katrina,
Yeah.
do they all of these instructors have access to my workspace, right? In their Blackboard?
Sure. Of course they're sure. I mean, everyone has, as far as I know.
Maybe you can remind them that they can practice by using the Collaborate session in their My Workspace.
Mm-hmm. That was a part of the introduction training that I did last 2 times.
So, all right,
I'll remind them. That's a good point. Yep. Mm-hmm.
The other thing we might do is figure out how, like I figured out how to join the group by following the little arrow into the group. I kept looking around for a way to get out of the group and go into a different group. And clearly, I did not find the right thing to push. They may do the same thing. So if we can figure out how you enter and exit groups as a moderator, that would be great.
Okay, so Mary, I'm going to just put myself in a horribly horrible risk and jump into a group and try to figure out how to get out of the group.
Okay, I mean, you can probably look it up on Blackboard too, but.
But if you lose me, if you lose me, it's because I got lost in a group matrix. I'm joking, I'll be fine. Okay, I'm going to jump into group 1 and see how I can get out.
Dan, I see that you just joined us. We've put people in groups, and I think since you joined as it was happening, it didn't sort you into a group, but I can put you in one. Just a minute.
Oh, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay.
Sorry, I was in the middle of doing something else.
Yeah, no problem. Just explaining what's going on, in case you're wondering.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I put Dan in a group. Hopefully that worked.
Okay, I figured it out. So I actually grabbed the screenshot. So I'm going to, people are still having too much fun in the groups. I'll just leave them there for a few more minutes. But this is where, this is what you will see. Mary, do you see the screenshot?
Yes, I do.
So basically, when you're in a group, on the very top, you will see this main room and the door, and that's where you can, that's how you can get back to the main room.
Yeah. Okay. I clicked the row above it.
Yeah.
What you do when you end.
Yeah. So you basically do the one that is underneath the breakout groups. Yeah. Okay, good. I grabbed the screenshot. So, I could tell that group number 1 was having a really interesting discussion, so I kind of hate interrupting them.
It's
All right.
really lovely to see how excited and engaged so many of the faculty are.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I was, listening to the conversation group 1, and a Canadian faculty, there were a few of them discussing how they were very hesitant to use technology, and now they're using it, and it's just so much fun for them. I'm like, yay!
That's so great. So great.
All right, so just for the sake of time, so because I know that we'll probably have some questions at the end, I'm going to just bring everyone back. That's pretty much it.
It's Blackboard.
All right, we are back to the main room, everyone. I hate interrupting your wonderful discussions. I jumped into a few groups and just listened for a second. So it looks like you were all having fun with group work. And I just wanted to show you. Yeah, well, so I wanted to show how to use a group to set it up, but also wanted to give you an opportunity to experience group setting as students. So obviously, let me before we go to the pedagogy part and how you can do group work and collaborate, let me just go back to. Oh, and one thing that I wanted to mention actually about the groups. Group work cannot be recorded. So I'm going to go back and, oh, actually it is recorded. That's interesting. Okay, so it's still being recorded. Okay, so I'm going to, it's interesting, Collaborate changes things. Before group work could not be recorded, and now it seems to be just fine. Okay, well. Let me jump back into my slides, and I will show you a few things. So basically, let me find that slide where I. So basically, you don't see it because you are students and the participants are in this collaborate room, but as a moderator, you will be able to control how you can, well, control group work facilitation. And this is the tools that you can use to control it. So this little icon that looks like a door, when you set up your groups, when you will be able to see all your groups that you've set up, and you as a moderator, you will be able to jump into each group and kind of see what students are doing. And the way to jump into each group is by clicking on this icon that looks like a door. I think somebody has a mic on. Let's just, for the sake of the recording, let's just have everyone mute your mics, please. And moderators, just make sure that everybody's mics are muted. So basically, this is the door, and that's how you can enter a group, by clicking on the icon that looks like a door. Now, at the end of the group work, so obviously at some point you have like 20 minutes or whatever for group work, but at some point your students need to get back to the main room, right? And to stop or end your group activity, you will need to go to right here. So there's this icon, again, looks like a circle with a square inside, and it says end breakout group. Once you click on it, your students will be brought back to the main room. And then when you were doing groups, you were in groups, I grabbed a screenshot. So when you, let's just say as a moderator, you jumped into group number 2, just to see how your students are doing in group number 2. So Mary had a question, how do you get back to the main room as a moderator? Again, the door right here on the top. So you see this icon that looks like a door. Again, if you click on it, you as a moderator will be able to get back to your main room. And then from the main room, you can jump to group number 3 and then group number 4. So in this way, that's how you use doors to get into each group and then back into your main group. Okay. So that is really all I wanted to. I know you have questions. So that is really all that I wanted to show you today. So just those two features. Remember, this session focuses on the advanced features, and breakout groups are considered, more or less advanced.
Actually, can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
So if you have, say, 3 breakout groups and you have some questions that you want each group to address, but the questions for group 1 are different than the questions for group 2 that are different from the questions for group 3. I see how to break them into groups, but how can you get separate questions to each group? How would you suggest doing that?
Yeah, I would probably have the way I would set up group work. So what I would do, I would structure it like as a lesson plan. So I would say, okay, I'm writing up my lesson plan for this session I'm doing next week. And I'm basically, okay, I'm doing the group work, and I want to have 3 groups. And for group number 1, I want them to focus on these questions. Group number 2, I want them to focus on another set of questions, and the same for group number 3. So before I do the group work, while my students are in the main room, I would put together a slide that I would put out, and I would say, okay, students, we are about to do group work now, right? I'm going to break you into groups. And for example, Shawnee, Katrina, Arlene, and Mary will be in group number 1. So I'm going to put you in group number 1. So for you guys, once you're in groups, you're going to discuss blah, blah, blah questions. So just like on the slide, put those questions out. For group number 2, it will be Matt and Brian and Chantal. So for you guys, you're going to focus on another set of questions, and I just put them on the slide. So this way, your group work is structured, and students know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. If you're doing some maybe gamification, again, tell the students what they will be doing once they are in group ahead of time. So put out a slide, put out the directions on your PowerPoint, and just share those directions. And then once you break them into groups, your students will be able to see that slide.
Can they? So you'd have to have all the questions for each group all on one slide then.
That's what I would recommend. Or if your students are used to using Collaborate, let's just say not in the very beginning of your of the term, because they will be new to Collaborate, but maybe like 2 weeks into Collaborate. So your students will will become pretty advanced. You will understand how to use Collaborate very, very quickly. It's really not that hard. So once you and your students figure it out, become a little bit more flexible and familiar with Collaborate and its settings, what you could do when you do groups, you can ask your students to turn on them to use the whiteboard. So
good idea.
Yeah. So the whiteboard, so I'm sharing my screen so you can see what I'm doing right now. So basically, if you go to right here, share blank whiteboard right here, this one. See, I bring up the whiteboard. So, and then you can type the questions. But again, as a facilitator, you will need to jump into, say, group 2 and type those questions very quickly on the whiteboard for group number 2. Or you can have your students type your the questions on the whiteboard. So by then, by the second week, they will become so familiar with Collaborate that they will be just so easy for them to do it. So
a quick question, I'm sorry. Is there a timer that shows up on it? Like if you give the group like 15 minutes per se and it counts down?
Yeah, actually, I totally forgot about. There used to be a timer, and I never used it. Can you see my screen share? Oh, I'm not sharing the screen. Okay, let's just figure it out together because it's been a while since I used a timer. I know they used to have that feature, so they may be disabled it now.
Yeah, it would be nice that way people don't have to abruptly end in their conversation. Yeah.
Yeah, so okay, Carolyn just posted the answer to this question. The answer is no, they took it away to save the bandwidth because of well let's practice now. I will go back to sharing my screen. Not practice, let's see together because I haven't seen it when I was setting up this activity for us today. So can you see? Oh, okay. So I didn't see it. So if you go to breakout groups, okay, let's just do it again. So randomly assign, so 3 groups. It used to be a timer. I know I had that option. I just didn't see it this time. Okay, I don't see it now. So what happened with the coronavirus situation, because so many people in the world are using Zoom or Collaborate Ultra, so basically everyone is switching to working online, and everyone started having technical issues and bandwidth issues. So Collaborate Ultra as a company, we have no control over their decisions, but they decided to disable certain features, like as of probably a week ago, and just to save to help mitigate those bandwidth issues. So it looks like the timer and there were other things that they just disabled for now, but they used to have it as a feature, which is very handy, but well, it is what it is. So any other questions that we have approximately 10 minutes before we are officially done with this session. Carolyn, question?
Yeah, can I clarify a question I got in the chat?
Absolutely.
So Sean had asked if you can see the chat at the same time as your screen when you are doing a session, and it's hard to type out. So yes and no. So if you upload files, or if you're using the whiteboard and it's in this main section that's black, you can see the chat right next to it. But if you share your screen and you go to another tab, you'll get the audio reminder, that chime, that there's a chat, but it's not next to the screen that you're sharing. I just wanted to clarify that because it's hard to type that out.
That is a great point. So my type of training, usually what I do when I facilitate training, I facilitate technical training, like what we're doing right now, Collaborate Ultra. Next week I will be doing Cultura for Juni. So my training is always technical. I rely a lot on screen share. But if your class is not technical, if you just do some discussions and what else? I don't know. Something that is just text or pictures, and you're not like showing people how to set things up in some kind of software, then you probably wouldn't want to use screen share unless you're sharing a website and you want to kind of show students certain things on the website. So you probably would just want to put together a PowerPoint presentation and upload it and Collaborate, and that was a part of our introduction to Blackboard to Collaborate Ultra training. But I just wanted to show you very quickly how you can upload your PowerPoint presentation. And Arlene, please remind me to address that question that you asked me earlier, because I don't want to forget it.
Oh, right now? Just
Yeah, just remind me after I show how to use the share file after that, because I will forget. Just remind me like in 5 minutes. So basically, to share file, let's just say you put together a PowerPoint presentation for your class. So how do you upload it into Collaborate? So you will go to share files right here. So right here, add file. So if you click on it, it will bring a browser of all your documents that you have on your computer, and just choose a file and click share, and everyone will be able to see your PowerPoint presentation. So what I guess I'm trying to say is, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, this is Hannah. And if the students are in the breakout rooms, still see the file? If you share file?
Yeah, yes. They should be able to see. We tested it last time, remember, with Pujo, and it worked. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. At least
from the breakout room, can they also see the whiteboard?
No, they need to set it up for that particular breakout group.
Can you please clarify how to do that once the students are in the breakout groups? And so how can the moderator share their screen with just say group 1? Or just have their whiteboard with just group 1, and then group 2 wouldn't see the same thing. Is that possible?
It is very complicated. So I have never done this before, and I am a little bit concerned about this setup because of the bandwidth. Imagine you are doing the breakout groups and you're sharing the screen. Technically, it is possible, but it may not work. So I will show you how you can share your screen. You can, I guess, as a imagine. So the amount of work that you will need to be doing. So you have 3 groups, right? So you will need to jump into each group, and for each group, you will have to go through this setup. Let me show it to you. So you tell me if you want to do it, because I find it extremely complicated. So you will need to go to share application. I'm sharing now, so I can't really do it again because I'm sharing at the moment. Share application, and then you will start sharing like what we're doing right now. But imagine you have to literally jump into each group and do it in each group. Honestly, I've never done this. So it may work. You can try it and let me know, but it would be, so my question is, yes, you can do it. So you can say, jump into group 1, click on the share application, do the share, stop sharing, and then leave the group 1, jump into group 2, do the share application, stop share application, jump into group 3. I guess your question was, can you do the screen share so that all 3 groups will see it? The answer is no. You cannot do that. You only, so think of groups as physical classrooms, right? So group 1 is your physical classroom number 1. Group 2 is a physical classroom number 2, and the same with the 3rd group. So each classroom is located in a different part of the building. You physically have to go to each class and write things on the whiteboard, and then go to class number 2 and write things on the whiteboard there. So that's how it works in Collaborate. Just think about it in those terms.
But Karina, they could all see your slides from each breakout group.
Yeah, if you put them in the main room, yes. We tested it last time and it worked. Yes.
Okay, great.
Our PowerPoint slides. That's what we tested. So Arlene brought up a really good question. Not question, but so she had a comment. So in your Blackboard courses, right, you all have access to the course room where you can practice what we just did, right? And you can create your own Collaborate sessions, and we talked about it in the previous, the 2 training that I did were actually focused on how to set up Collaborate sessions in your Blackboard course. But that's where you will go to create sessions for your students, Blackboard sessions. So you will go to your Blackboard course, and even if you teach face-to-face, you still have your Blackboard course. Yes, everybody has, it's called My Workspace. Everybody has that. So you basically go, well, since we have time, let me just go over this very quickly right now. So I will have to actually type it, courses. So the way you go to your courses is, so I'm sure you know that, but I'm just wanted to remind courses.cityU.edu. Oh goodness, please. Oh, it's giving me a hard time. Okay, I apologize. I have to, well, the security feature. Okay. Just so annoying to do it every time, but you have to do it because it's a security feature. Okay, so I am in my Blackboard dashboard. So I have lots of courses. I am in, you'll probably have fewer. So let's just say Foundations in Adult Instruction Master Course. That's the course that I'm currently teaching. Well, this is a master course. So you are in your Blackboard course, you all have workshelves. Then you will go, so here's the menu, control pan, well, it's a menu with all the different options. And you will go to course tools right here. And here's this link, Blackboard Collaborate Ultra, right here. So you will click on Blackboard Collaborate Ultra. Just wait a second because it takes time. And here we go. So this is your place where you can set up Collaborate Ultra sessions for your students. So you all have Course Room. Course Room is, I locked it because I don't use it. So, but basically, so a Course Room comes by default. You don't really need to do anything. It's just something that you will all have and you can use it. But in the previous training sessions that we did Monday and Tuesday, Pooja and I, we talked about how to set up your Collaborate sessions. So let's just say you like to do group work in your classes, right? So, and you want each group to have a dedicated Collaborate room. So for example, I don't know, for your class, you do group work throughout the quarter and everybody works in groups all quarter, and you just want each group to have their own dedicated Collaborate link. Obviously, you will need to set that up for your students. So, and like here, I like to do I did a lot of group work in this training, and I set it up for my groups. So basically, I will show you how to do it. Just very quickly. Kind of a reminder. So if you click on create sessions right here, so you will see this window. So let's just say you want to create a dedicated Collaborate room for group 3 because I already have group 1 or 2. So group 3 doesn't have their room. Okay, so I want my participants, so students in this case, to log in as either presenters or participants or moderators. So here's something that you kind of need to decide for yourself. Like right now, you have participant role in this training. So basically what that means that you don't have access to pretty much 90% of the tools that a moderator has. And that's good because you don't want students to think about Collaborate Ultra as your physical class. So you don't want your students to come into your physical class and start rearranging your chairs and start painting the walls and start like moving things. You don't want that. You set it up for them and you just want them to come and follow your lead, so to speak, right? So if that's what you want, you will want to put your students as participants. But that means that you will need to be, or somebody needs to be a moderator. So because as a participant, you don't have control. So what if you don't want to moderate your group work, or the work that group number 3 is doing? What if you want everyone who is in that group to come into Collaborate room and have a complete control? They can do whatever they want. Then, of course, then you would give them moderator privileges. It really is up to you. What is it that you want will dictate how you set it up. Okay, so you chose participant or moderator. Then you can put a start date for your Collaborate session and date. Like for this session, this link, Collaborate room link you're in right now, will expire at the end of this week. I did it on purpose because I just wanted this room to expire at the end of the week. It just makes sense for me. But what if you don't want it to expire? If you just want it to be open for the entire quarter, then you can choose no end. So you'll check no end, and that means that this session will not expire. So if you do want to set up like a start date and end date, then let's just say you set it up so that your session starts at 4:53 p.m. Then you can say early entry, so that means that your students can join a session 15 minutes before 4:55 p.m. or 30 minutes or 45 or 60 minutes. It is really up to you. Okay, and just very quickly, we'll go over the other session settings. Then allow recordings. I always check allow recordings because I just want to, well, first of all, I always record my sessions and I want to be able to download them, and I always check that. Anonymized chat, I usually don't do that because I kind of want to see who is typing and the types of questions my students have. I want to see names, but if you want to anonymize chat, you can check that option. For share audio, always yes for share video, post chat messages, yes, draw on the whiteboard, yes, allow attendees to join the session using a phone, yes, at least for the US. There's no international fee, so definitely yes for the US students who are in the US. And this two I usually leave unchecked, but you can check them if it works the best for you. And then click save. Okay, so as you can see, your group number 3 Collaborate room is set up. Let's just say you set it up, you want your students to join group number 3 as moderators or as participants, but then tomorrow you changed your mind. You just changed your mind and you want to change your settings. That's fine, because you go here where there's this circle dot dot dot, you click here and you can do edit settings. So you click on it and so that window will appear again, and you can just change the settings and save again. So again, if you click on the circle dot dot dot, this is where you grab the link for your students. So right here. And you will share this link either via email, or if you use Blackboard course extensively, you can post in the announcement like I did in my newsletter, right? The way you found out about this training and the way you join this training is by clicking on the link I shared in my newsletter. You can do the same. You just grab that guest link and put it in your email or Blackboard course anywhere, so that students can just click and open the session and just join. Okay, so I am done with my presentation. Kind of did a little bit more than I planned for, which is totally fine because we had plenty of time left. Any questions? So we maybe have 5 minutes. I can stay and collaborate and okay. So let me okay, Ron, go ahead.
Yeah, I have some a couple of questions that I'm just burning to get answered. They're not completely related to all of this. But if you establish office hours for your students in the course room and send the link to students of different courses that you're teaching that can meet with you, then any student that shows up, any other student there would be able to hear whatever questions they're asking. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Which may not be really relevant to students from another course, but that's the only way of doing it, isn't it?
Yes, that's where if you decide to use course room, right? But if you set it up for, like, you can say instead of type in group 2, group 1, group 3, you can say office hour week 1, office hour week 2, and you can share this link only with, say, John, Ekaterina, and Arlene. Then only John, Ekaterina, and Arlene can come to your session, not the entire.
And is that by setting up a separate session then for that particular?
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, because if you start using course room, you really don't have too much control over it, because, well, you can still grab see what I'm doing. You can copy the link, and you can say, okay, so John, Ekaterina, and Arlene, I'm going to meet you in this room, give them the link, tomorrow at 1 p.m. Okay, and just send it to them. And then,
so the best thing is to set up separate groups for each course.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, but you still have to communicate that Arlene, John, and Ekaterina, I'm waiting for you in this room tomorrow at 1 p.m. So please come. Yeah, so it's basically, it's not really the setup, more of a communication. So you need to tell them exactly where you are, the time, and give them the link, and just tell them, I'm going to wait for you there, please come. It's important.
Right. Okay. And I noticed in the written material for Blackboard and Collaborate, it suggested at one place to enroll students as moderators it's in the best practices section, because then they can have access to the other students.
Well, it depends. And again, it may be a best practice for one scenario, but may not be a best practice for another scenario. Like, let's just say for this training, imagine if you came, and it happened to me, that's why I stopped doing it. So you came to this room and everyone, all 20 of you, had moderator privileges. I did that mistake once, never again, I decided.
Yeah.
So what happened is all 20 students started clicking on all kinds of things. And I'm like, stop everyone, stop everyone. Literally, I had to tell everyone to stop, because when you come, you're like, oh, there is this feature, why don't I click on it? And all of a sudden you messed up my slide or you turned on a whiteboard when I didn't ask you to turn on the whiteboard,
Yeah, absolutely, I get that.
So it depends.
So my last question is, as an instructor, when you take breaks with your students, if you're teaching for a 4-hour course and you take a break, in Collaborate, what do? You don't have to do anything when you take a break? No. You just tell students, we'll take a 15-minute break now, and you leave your screen on, and etc.
Yeah, you just leave it on. Yeah, don't close it, because it will be a nightmare to go back. Just leave it on and say, students, everyone, class, let's take a break for 20 minutes. We will reconvene at 5:20 Seattle time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
How do you pause the recording?
I'm going to show you now, because I'm going to pause the recording right now. Okay, so do you see this icon that looks like a menu at the top, up at the top? So I'm going to click on it, and I hope you see it. So there will be a drop-down menu, and one of them will be stop the recording.